I had experiences you could not go get anymore. Mm-hmm. The tail end of that kind of culture. I was coming in as being hit with pans and abusive
was it
relationship.
toxic or was it positive?
Oh, it was very toxic.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what
I
I'm
was
wondering.
hit with pans, I was burned, I was shouted at. I respond very good to negative feedback to this day. Like, if you want me to do something, be mean to me, it's not healthy, but it worked. Search of a father replacement. And all of these executive head chefs, chef de cuisines, were that for me and all of these places. So all I did was chase that.
Welcome to the Taste Like Somewhere podcast, where flavor meets memory, tradition, and terroir. I'm your host, Christy Brablich from Zingerman's Food Tours. Each episode, we'll travel through stories of food and place, meeting the people who grow, cook, and preserve the flavors that define a region. Because the best meals don't just taste good, they tell you where you are and sometimes where you belong. Okay, I've known you now for...
Too many years.
Well over a decade.
Yep, I've traveled with you.
Yes. In fact, you're one of the few partners that I've actually traveled with. I mean, that's not true. I mean, we go to partners group, but it's very different.
But we traveled a little extra outside of that.
Right,
in our world.
right. I guess I just realized as you were speaking about Devon, is like, I don't know, like, where did your inspiration and or desire to become a chef happen?
Right, so it's a long-winded story.
What I like about you, I know. Man.
What I kind of like about you is you've got some similar interests. So when I was a kid, I loved recording. I loved doing a lot of daily cooking things with my mum. My mum would deal with any emotional issues or baggage in our family. She would cook food, and the table would always be full. But I was always a kid that was chasing my older sister. She's about 2.5 years older than me. Her name's Kirsty. She lives in Vermont now.
Kirsty? Like K-I-R.
So she was Kirsty Jane Hales, and I was Kieron John Hales. So we could have the same initials. KJs. I tried it with my sons, but bad initials
really
not going to be good.
call you KJ from here on out.
KJ all the way. KJ all the way.
Chef KJ.
Oh my God, I'm going to do that. So
that's your next podcast.
I thought my sister was the coolest girl in the world. So she had asthma. I faked asthma for about 2 years. 100%. She did ballet. I went to ballet for a while because I thought I could hang out with her more.
Like, well,
I wanted to be her best friend.
She
played the oboe. She was and is an incredible oboe player. So I took up the bassoon because way easier than the oboe. Kind of lazy of the woodwind instruments. And that was my first thing I wanted to do, was I was going to be a classically trained bassoonist. And so we did all my grades. I did my teaching grade at a very young age. I was pretty gifted. I was a math kid who had beautiful handwriting, albeit no one believes that anymore, but I had beautiful handwriting. But I thought I was going to be a musician. My dad had been a violinist. He was terrible, and he kind of pushed it on us to do it more and more. So anytime we were playing anywhere or did something, he was really pushy, to the point where it made it uncomfortable to want to do it. But this all being said, I was cooking, oh my goodness, look at me slipping. I was playing music at a private camp in Pontefract, England. So Pontefract.
Pontefract.
You get Pontefract cakes. They're very famous cakes from northern England.
Well, I just learned something new. I don't know about, tell me about the,
So this is band camp, so equivalent band camp,
okay.
Way up north. It was for the National Children's Orchestra. So I got to play in front of the Queen, I got to play in all these cathedrals, and I was playing up there, and I got to attach myself to so this is National Children's Orchestra, and I got to attach myself to the RAF, so the Royal Air Force. They started a kids band, so the Royal Air Force's kids version is the Air Training Corps, the ATC.
Okay.
So I was a RAF kid.
Okay.
And I really thought I could also be a pilot, so bassoonist, pilot.
No and cooking. I do have so much in common.
I know, no cooking at this stage. So I joined the ATC, and I formed the first ever kids band for the ATC and played with the first bassoonist of the RAF. So we're playing together. I'm sat next to the first bassoonist.
How old were you?
11 or 12.
Holy
I was
hell.
I was very good at this thing, right? I was a good math kid, good musician. Nothing like my sister, but good. And so I'm sat next to this first bassoonist, and we're chatting. And the bassoon's a pretty boring instrument. Like, we've got Peter and the Wolf, and that's it. It's really all we've got as music goes. And he's like, well, Kieron, you're just going to play the same 100 pieces of music for the rest of your life, and that's going to be it. Some of them will change.
They were probably not wrong.
Like the top 10 will change,
Yeah.
but that's what you'll do. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds boring.
Oh God, it would kill
So
me.
he like destroyed my entire music
Yeah.
thing. At this
Well.
stage, I was at a private music school in Paynton called Tower House. And at Tower House, I learnt home economics from this home economics teacher. And I came back and I was really disappointed, super bummed. She said, well, Kieron, you should apply for this last modern apprenticeship in England. And it was out of Bournemouth and Poole College. And so I went and applied. I was too young by about a year and a half, and they let me in. So they let me in, and I joined as the youngest participant of the specialized chef's course. So I got to instantly go work at a 1 Michelin star restaurant at 13 and a half.
Your story is insane.
Right. So while this is happening, my father passed away.
How old were you then?
13 and a half,
13
when that,
and a half.
all at the same time.
Okay.
I helped my mom, I
rough.
helped my sister, but then I kind of just wanted to get out of Dodge. And so I went and lived in London in a youth hostel alone at 13 and a half.
And your mom let you.
Yeah. And I don't know how legal it was, but it happened. And I got paid to be at school and paid to be at work. So I was chef training for about 4.5 years, and I would work in central London, Paul Bocuse's restaurant in Burgundy in France, which is, I mean, camera,
The OG one.
OG. I
Yeah.
got to work with him in the kitchen, which is
I don't
a
even
gift.
think I knew that.
Oh, I have
Was he
signed
difficult?
things.
I bet Paul was.
No, a
No?
gem of an old geezer, of an old guy.
Well, he
His
learned
sous
from
chef-
all women.
His chef.
Let's be honest here.
His sous chef was not a nice human being. We won't swear on this podcast, but profanities
I've
ensue
been told
right
I'm
now.
not allowed to swear,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is real hard for me.
So his sous chef was nice, but I got to work in those two places. So one was called Cote d'Argent in central London, opposite the Bank of England, and the other one was Paul Bocuse's restaurant. I did for that for about 4.5 years, and I'd spent a year at a restaurant, 3 months at school, and we did a year of education in 3 months, a year at work, 3 months, and I did that for 4 years. Graduated, specialized chefs, and then I've just traveled. So I've lived in 27 countries.
Yeah.
I never applied for a job in my life, ever. It was always, and it was mostly the old boys club. I think I've only ever had like maybe 3 female executive head chefs or head chefs back then. But the old hand of
Boo.
like, this guy would then hand me off to this guy. It'd be like, oh, you need more fish experience. You need to go work in Barcelona, or you need this experience. I worked in a place called Toblerance, which was a pure dessert restaurant before that was a thing. And it was usually like the chef's like, oh, you've gained this knowledge here, now go here.
Now, do you think of that as a supportive culture, or was it just like that? I mean, because I guess I'm confused about like I'm not a chef,
Yeah,
as we all know. I'm a very good cook, but
makes
I'm not
great
a chef.
pizzas.
I do
Pop
make-
to our house for pizzas.
But I don't understand if you feel that was like like, did that feel like a supportive and sort of mentorship that you got from these folks, or was it just like that is the freaking road you took if you
That was
wanted
the
to be a
road I
chef?
took. It was, I would say that there's a minority of people at that stage. It was the tail end of that kind of culture. I was coming in as being hit with pans and
I mean, was it
abusive relationship.
toxic or was it positive?
Oh, it was very toxic.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what
I
I'm
was hit
wondering.
with pans, I was burned, I was shouted at. I respond very good to negative feedback to this day. Like, if you want me to do something, be mean to me, it's not healthy, but it worked. I would say how it was for me was I was definitely in search of a
You're such a
replacement
good
for-
little submissive.
I know, I am very submissive. But I was in search of a father replacement. And all of these executive head chefs, chef de cuisines were that for me, and all of these places. So all I did was chase that.
Yeah.
And I was looking for somebody to pat me on the back, say you did a good job. That rarely, if ever, happened.
Yeah.
And so
I'm sure that
it just
spawned
fed
from
me
your
more and
childhood
more
as well.
to wait for it.
Yeah.
And I guess now, like as an owner, there's no one left to pat you on the back, and
Yep.
so I've never.
It's hard,
really,
isn't it?
Yeah, and you never really got there, and
Yeah.
so like there were occasions, but like in general, that's what I've seen and got from it. But like I had experiences you could not go get anymore, but it was an abusive relationship. It was.
And these
Physically
weren't
and mentally.
stages. These were like paid
No,
gigs.
I was working
Early on.
Yeah, most of my work. There was only a few occasions where I worked for free, and most of them were my days off. So I would work 5 days a week, sometimes 6, in a restaurant paid, and on my 7th or 6th and 7th date, I'd work somewhere for free, to get employee meal. I was mostly paid very badly back in the original days. And so it was a way to get free food. And then I get an experience in another restaurant at the same time. So my very first job at Coq d'Argent, on my days off, I work at the Ritz, which sounds so fancy, right? The Ritz in London, it was purely for employee meal. That's the only reason I worked there was I wanted employee meal. I mean, I made no money when I was originally in central London. But like the ability to travel and see the world through this mechanism was extraordinary. Like, I don't think you could go back and recreate it. It definitely was questionably illegal at my age.
Sure.
Because
we're not talking like the 70s. We're talking like the 90s.
No, we're like early and late
aughts?
90s in that piece of it.
Yeah.
So I'm an 82 child, and I was standing on milk crates to use gravity slicers when even that was illegal back then.
That's definitely
age-wise.
not legal.
Yeah. I would climb inside stock pots to clean them back in the day. I mean, I had all the fun, bad jobs of everything. But I also got to work with some very amazing chefs in some very amazing kitchens and have some wonderful experiences. One of my favorite things was I worked for Goldman Sachs Chairman Dining. So this is the 6 to 12 heads of Goldman Sachs that would be in the UK at any time. And it was in a building called the Daily Telegraph building. My grandfather, back in the Second World War, when he came off HMS Edinburgh, which is the ship he was on, when he retired from the Navy, he went and worked repairing printing presses. And he repaired the printing presses in that building that was still in the basement. And I was working on the top floor with the chairman. And there was something just cool that my grandfather had worked in the basement and I was on the very top floor, albeit as a chef. Sure. But like in that job, one of the weirdest things I've ever done was one of the chairmen had a private farm in France and he wanted a foie gras sandwich for lunch. So at 7:30 in the morning, I got on his helicopter, flew to France, picked up a load of foie gras, flew back, made him a sandwich and went home. That was my entire day of work. This was in the heyday of making lots of money in the bank. I mean, they still make a lot of money, but it was a wild time back then.
Jeez. Okay, so 27 countries. Name like the top 5 that were like the most influential for you. And why, potentially?
I loved Spain. I got to work...
Interesting. An old world man.
I did. But I got to work in the top end. So I got to work in El Bulle's kitchen for a hot minute. But I worked in Toblerance, which was this dessert restaurant, which changed my life and how I look at desserts. And so this was a pure dessert restaurant.
Is that where you gained your sweet tooth?
Oh, no, I've had a sweet tooth. That was my father gave me my sweet tooth all day long. Dandelion and burdock for the brain.
You have one of the sweetest teeth.
Yeah, I've got the teeth to prove it, but they're all fading away into the background. But Spain was amazing. Anywhere in Austria has always been a dreamy place for me.
Why do you think that is?
I dated a few girls there. It was probably why.
You like the
I think The
Austrians.
Sound of Music was filmed in places in Austria, and so one of my ex-girlfriend's houses was on a field where that happened. But like, the food there is just very humblingly simple and beautiful tasting. It's not attractive necessarily, but it's so tasty. Love Bregenzie. Germany would be the same for me. I worked in Munich, and then also in the Black Forest in the Schwarzwald. But the best like weird culinary experience until recently was South Africa. South Africa was like, my mind was blown.
Wait, when were you in South? I didn't realize. I know you and I've talked a lot about South Africa. I don't think I realized that you actually
in the 2000s,
worked there.
like when it clipped into the 2000s. I worked in a very expensive hotel. It was a beautiful hotel, wonderful restaurant, but the food experience I had was the beach and surf shacks.
Yeah.
And I didn't
Those are my
understand
favorite
what any of the
experiences.
spices were, what some of the vegetables were, how they put those things together. It was completely abstract, everything I'd learned. I'm a classically French trained chef. I understand Russian cuisine, I understand Italian cuisine. This was like something out of another world. And I'd still say to this day, it's way up there of like, what the heck was that? Like, I don't know what's happening in there.
That's so cool.
I was a baby in that space. I did not know what was going on. I felt very similar in India, but I understood what all the spices were.
Sure.
I understood Indian
Well, it's
food.
a huge Indian influence in England.
Yes,
I mean,
but South African was just like, what is this and how did I get here? I think I would have stayed in South Africa for a long time, albeit another lady had broken up with me, and that made my departure necessary.
I would
needed
have
to get out
loved
of
to
town.
have, like,
Oh, so many of my
known,
exes.
like, Casanova Kieron.
The British accent is good on your travels. I mean, it's not a bad one.
Plus, you're just loaded with personality, so.
Well, I can cook.
Yeah.
I sound pretty charming. And then you get to know me, and then all
Kieron,
I do is
you
cook.
are pretty charming. I know that you think you just sound charming,
Sure.
but you are pretty charming.
But South Africa was amazing. India was really a wonderful experience. I got to cook. In India was probably one of the first times I got to cook with like grandmas and great grandmas.
Yeah.
In their kitchens, in a way that was beyond the chefing side. Like I've learned from very famous chefs over the years. Those experiences with the grandmas was way more meaningful, way more substantive. And that when the switch started to click in my head. Like I wanted out of the grind.
Mm-hmm.
I'd always imagined I wanted to be a 1 Michelin star chef. I wanted
Really?
oh yeah. That was laser
Like
focused
the
to doing this. I was
least-
going to get enough pieces of paper, because it was never about the pay, it was about getting a resume letter from the last chef.
Sure.
To have enough of these to sit in front of someone and say, can I please have enough money? Look what I've done.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to derail, but I
can
am
derail
curious
all
about
day
this
long.
because, like, do you think that that's a Kieron personality, or do you think that that's like an ego-driven chef?
That was
culture
ego all
thing?
the way back
Yeah.
then. That was,
Which is such
I
a
felt like
shame.
that's what you wanted. And this was before there were influencers, TV chefs, any of this
Sure.
thing. But I knew that I thought that was what I wanted to do. And the switch started to change when I was in India. It fully changed when I came to the US. But that was the time when I was like, this might not be the thing I want to do. I came over.
Because once you chase after it, that's it. You've sealed the deal. Like you have to. You're not. What are you gonna like? Be like, oh, it's cool that I don't have a Michelin star anymore. No, you're gonna keep trying for 2 or for 3 or for. I mean, ugh,
We
it's
talk
a
a lot
lot.
about in Zingerman's knowing the product of where it came from. So what's in the sandwich, the ham, the vegetable, the lettuce, the supplier. Most of what I'd known at that point as a chef, and this is a while back, and it wasn't so meaningful back then, was all I knew that we were buying the very best chicken in the world.
Yeah.
And when I say that back then, that's what we were doing.
yeah.
I didn't need to know where it came from. I just knew it was the best. And so a lot of the restaurants I worked at, we were just always buying the best, but I didn't have any real fundamental, meaningful connection to where the food came from. And then what I did was I made it as pretty and as beautiful as possible. And there's a lot to be said for that. And to have that skill, to know how to do that is very powerful.
Takes away an element of like needing to
Yeah,
do more than you
if
have
you ask
to do.
me to make you a 3 Michelin star meal and you give me a bit of time, 100% I can do that.
Yeah.
There are people who have come up through it and see it from a distance. There is a very different experience actually executing that on a regular basis. But I got to like the Marco Pierre White place where I was like, I'd rather own a pub
Yeah.
than own a Michelin star restaurant, and how hard the restaurant industry was. And I got very upset that I didn't know where most of my food was coming from or having a meaningful connection
Yeah.
with where it was coming from.
Do you think that's still the case in these restaurants?
It's still the case for me today, some of the things I buy. I mean, I still wish I had more time to spend more time with producers. There was a guy that worked at the Roadhouse.
I think that's a real shame if that is the truth. Of
100%.
like, and again, like it'll be interesting to see how this evolves as I talk with more chefs, because I think you've sort of hit the nail on the head on some things of like, is that still true? I think in the 80s, 90s, even the early 2000s, yes. But if you look at what's happening now with really high level people, I don't know that that's necessarily true anymore. I think people are really they need to know where their food is coming from. They need to know they want to know.
They want
I
to
guess, let's say. Not need to, but they want to.
They want to know. I think
Curiosity is different than it was even a decade ago.
The industry now has switched a bit more into the personality side. Like, I was on some statistics for my business, Cornman Farms, and they said that businesses, social media sites, aren't prioritized in the algorithm. It's the chef. So in order to sell Cornman Farms, you need to sell me as the chef or the personality behind it. So not food tours. It needs to be Christy. And now you're going to talk about food tours and sell it that way.
Right.
It's amazing. I think the industry has drifted much more into the personality and the individual. And I think
unintended consequence of
sure,
Bourdain, for sure.
I think that one of the struggles I have is I had one of the last generations. Maybe not the last, but towards the end of the generations where I had the experience in those kitchens the way I did.
Yeah.
Most chefs that come up now, even at my age, have had a very different experience.
Oh, they all have to stage and they have to work their little tails
Yeah.
off to get there.
And like, I feel like now when you've got newer chefs coming through, they're very impatient to suddenly become a head chef. I turned vegetables for 2.5 years into barrels. That's all I did for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I think that patience doesn't exist in our industry anymore. We all want to be cool and making the sexy plates and putting the sexy food on it. I am much more about, it's not that I don't care how the food looks. I much more care that I'm cooking it with as much respect as I can.
Yeah.
There was a guy at the Roadhouse back in the day who was the farmer, Mark Beowulf. And Mark had said to me, we were bringing in potatoes and we're using them for breakfast potatoes at the Roadhouse. A very low level, low stress way to use his potatoes. And he goes, and we burnt a batch on the griddle, we burnt this huge batch. And he goes, Kieron, you just screwed up what has taken me all of my life to figure out how to grow these potatoes this well. And he goes, I've only got another 18 attempts to grow potatoes. You get to cook potatoes 1,000 times
God,
this
I
year.
think about that for wine producers.
Oh my Lord, and he made me very conscious about like that farmer's variables to grow that potato, to do it well, and their knowledge to get there. And he only has 18 more seasons to do it.
Yeah,
and he had more than that, but like in his head, he had 18 more. And my guilt about messing it up became more important than putting the pretty picture on the plate. I needed to switch my 80-20 needed to be on cooking it really well. And if it looks good, I want it to look good, but I don't need to play that game anymore. And so
God,
over the
I
years,
love that.
I've switched
I
that
feel
place.
like that is like a life lesson, and
Mark
I
drove me up
keep
the wall.
talking about philosophy and all this. Like this is like your philosophy changed.
Yep. And it didn't. I want to be clear. Like there are bits when
So cool.
when people talk about like, oh, you want to go back to cooking everything natural. You want to be in this place. I'm a big sous vide guy.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy that
You
likes
are
to
such
use
a
technology
sous
to
vide
help
guy.
do things more consistently. Listening to Mark talk about the variables, he has to fight or interact with Mother Nature. I hate when people say fight with Mother Nature, but interact with Mother Nature, who can be a cruel beast on a regular basis growing things. This year, how hot we've been.
Listen.
But in cooking, to take out some variables so you can give the things you want to teach them and change within how you're cooking that chicken or that carrot or that vegetable. Like carrots cooked in the juice of all of their peelings that were made into a carrot stock to reduce it down. I don't want to worry about me overcooking or undercooking. I want to focus on getting as much flavor in there as possible. So using sous vide in that removes that variable. So I don't want people to hear it of like, well, Kieron just wants to go back and cook in the corner. I love cooking at home where I would cook everything in one big pot and it maybe isn't perfect, but we have a wonderful meal. But when I want to cook for a guest, when you want to come to the farm for a dinner or we're having a wedding, it needs to be as perfectly cooked as possible. Even if it's not the very prettiest it can be. And in today's Instagram world, that's maybe not the most instantly well received. But once you sit down and eat our food, and that love that you put into cooking it is a very different experience.
It's palpable.
And that's what's very hard to communicate in today's world. Most of our world now is mostly word of mouth. And as much as social media, as much as things like this podcast can express what's going on, until you sit down and eat and really understand what's going on and know where that food came from, it's a wild ride. When I remember Frank at the Bakehouse, when he was talking about semolina, the Bakehouse makes this wonderful sesame semolina bread. And it was amazing. I've always been, when I joined Zingerman's, I don't know if you know this, it was not about the deli, it was about the bread. I was amazed how higher quality bread was put out of the deli in that larger quantity. The Bakehouse's bread makes my brain hurt. Like it's so good.
And they were pushing the envelope in
volume.
such an early stage of like, nobody was baking like
I just
that,
don't understand how
at
they
least in
still
the
do
US.
it. But Frank had this sesame semolina, which I thought was phenomenal, would have been a 9.6. And then he spent 2 years to make it better.
Yeah.
And deep dived into making a 9.6 to a 12.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's when you get to know a product and really love a product, you get so excited about it. So like, there's very few recipes to this day that I'll say I'm done with wanting to mess around with. And I have a book my mother gave me when I graduated as a chef, and it only has like 14 recipes handwritten in there that are gospel, will never change. And to get to that stage with anything is kind of special. I know I drifted a little bit there.
No, it's good. I mean, it's exciting. It's fun to hear you talk about. Well, I mean, a lot of the questions I was going to ask you is what the evolution is like from when you started to now where you're at, and you just sort of did it on your own because evolution is part of life, and we change, and we should change. We should evolve. We should, especially if you've lived in 27 countries, if that doesn't impact you on some level, then I would question
Especially
whether
being in the
what was
US,
going
it
on.
feels very different over here because in Europe, most people I knew have been or interacted with 8 or 9 different countries pretty regularly. Like that's not that abnormal in the UK. Over here,
No.
2,
It's insular.
3, that's
Yeah.
about it. I think you had asked off mic before we started recording, like because you said evolution, like where is the next thing? I think the next thing is even more humbling of like what I want to do with the rest of my life. And it is trying to figure out how to share what I've learned to let that next person be a peg up.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean the next chef, I mean Christy cooking and what that means to do things. So like I brought some here, but like our brownies that we make in our house, they are not Zingerman's Bakehouse's brownies, which are way better. But like what is the
They're
Hales
different.
household brownie? Like
Ah.
what is that? What's that recipe that my son Henry and Owen will take on and will use in perpetual motion and that they will use with their kids or their cousins? I think that how they cook and what's meaningful about why they cook a specific way is exciting. Like we do a perpetual brownie. We make one and then we scale the recipe again and it's sitting ready to go. We can make brownies baked and out of the oven in 40 minutes in our house.
That's amazing.
And that is
and
what
that's-
we want.
That's okay. So you're instilling a value in your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I mean, it's an obscure value, but it is a value of which has a representation of a sweet thing. But it is the
always
fact
gotta be
that
sweet.
I know, like that's where you and I are very
Yeah.
different. I have 0 sweet tooth. I'll eat all the bread in your house, but I won't eat the
I'll make you a blackcurrant delice, you'll love it.
Sweet. Okay. But like, I mean, you're instilling these values into your children in a way that's going to carry them through for a very long time, and that's cool.
We talk about those brownies. We don't make enough brownies for us. We make enough brownies to take to 2 of our neighbors or 2 other people, and they have to go drop them off right then and there.
That's
and so
amazing.
again, AI is going to change our world. It is changing our world. Interpersonal skills and interacting with people is so important, and food is such an amazing device to do that. Like,
Yeah.
why do I cook? Because it's a time device. Like, I can eat my mother's crepe cannelloni and be back as a 6-year-old child at the dining room table I can think about it right now. I can smell the smells. I can feel the feelings.
Yeah.
And I go there right now. It's just like music to me. Like an amazing time device.
Yeah.
And I want that for anyone we interact with. So we deal with brides and grooms that sometimes
Time
have a
device.
lot of like food memories. They come with a lot of baggage of like, I've got this, grandma made this. And then we meet couples who've got nothing and we're their beginning. And that is just as exciting. Like
Yeah.
we get to be like, oh, and your wedding meal is something you can cook again. This isn't just one-time magic food. Like these 3 things, why don't you cook these? And every time you eat that amazing roast potato or you have that amazing polenta, you are transported back to your wedding
Yeah.
day. And like when we talk about
Instead
like,
of the shitty sorry, I just did it.
there you go.
Yeah, the shitty.
No, shitty's an okay word.
Shitty chicken and weird mushy green beans.
But like you get to like I've gone through it with me and my wife, like the struggles of being a married couple to then have kids and be parents. To eat a food that can take you back to the day you got married
Yeah,
and
that's
have that on
cool.
a regular basis,
Yeah.
and it not just be, it's not a transactional relationship with the food or the experience. I think I'm going to frame it in the side of my business, but like that's true with everything. So my kids, when they roll pasta 20 years from now, they will remember rolling pasta with me in my kitchen. They'll remember what it meant to do that. And that is what I've given them, not how to cook, but how to come back to be with their dad when they were 10 and 12.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Aw.
magic. No, that's
really
the good
sweet,
side
Kieron.
of it. Look at me, I can be sweet.
I know. Well, I already knew that, unfortunately.
Have I burned through all your questions yet?
No, we haven't even really gotten to them. What made you want to join? This is one that, so you lived this crazy life, 27 different countries. Somehow you ended up in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Yeah.
I know your sister had a big part to do with
She
this.
did.
You're still following her?
I do. So there's a weird story. So Neal's Yard Dairy in London,
I love them.
cheese distributor, shop, cheese maker as well. They make Stitcherton. It's in the deli.
Yeah.
We could go get one. We should get some. The real name of Stilton. Don't let Stilton sue us, but it's true. Joe's an American that makes that. That was where I was going to work if I didn't come here.
Yeah, which is a good choice.
Where Joe works used to be the old capital of the United Kingdom, the place around Sherwood Forest. In there was going to be a bakery, a bunch of other things. I'm like, oh my goodness, this sounds like a commune. I want to be part of this. Sign me up, Buttercup. I'm ready. And so my other option was to come over here, but I knew about Zingerman's. One, my sister lived in Ann Arbor, but it wasn't really that. Randolph from Neal's Yard Dairy, who owned Neal's Yard Dairy, was a bit of a weird guy back in the day. When I was 13 and I started in London, he would take young chefs out to eat at fancy restaurants, which in today's society does not sound okay. But back then...
Well, you were 13.
I was 13, but back then he did it for a really specific reason, that he would stay connected with you forever.
Yeah.
And so I ate at Gary Rhodes' restaurant, who's passed away now, famous British TV celebrity, actually a really amazing chef, was too much of a TV celebrity. He was a much better chef in that world. But I ate at that restaurant with him, and I've known Randolph for many, many years, and he kept talking about Ari, and he kept, because of the American
They
Cheese
were
Society.
buddies.
So he kept suggesting I came over here, but I'd used up all my American visas. I'd been out in California, I'd been in New York City before, I'd been up in Kennebunkport in Maine.
What do you mean you used all your American visas?
Like,
Is
all
there
my
like a cap on them?
So how you use them, there's like a J1 exchange visa, there's like H1B visas. As a British citizen, there's only so many times you can come here and work. And I'd used them all up. And so the next one was my H1B real work visa, which was like hardcore real visa, like wait around, do 2 years of work. So he had suggested I came over here. And so I met Ari in the UK. We went on a trip of Lincolnshire's Poachers cheese.
Gosh, with Tim.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So Lincolnshire Poacher cheese.
So good.
Anyone listening to this, if you're in the UK or anywhere near it, go. They sell butter there that you can only get there. See, I'm going to go on a tangent now. But they sell butter there that they extrude around the building. So they got these pipes and they spin what's left of the whey. And they make butter from what comes from that. So a little bit of butter fat comes from that, and they turn it into butter. And it tastes like Lincolnshire Poachers cheese, but it's butter.
I want to eat it right now.
But Lincolnshire Poachers cheese is one of my favorite cheeses in the world.
Yeah,
and
me
so
too.
Ari took us on all these cheese tours. He ate at the restaurant I was working at the time, and he said, well, you should come over. And it was either go work in the space where Joe was at Stitcherton or come over here. And it took about 2.5 years to process my visa. But I came over here primarily because I wanted to be an owner. I'd saved up about £120,000. So maybe, I don't even know what that would be now. Maybe it's $200,000 today's money. It was quite a bit of cash. But I couldn't buy into any of the restaurants or any of the buildings I was in or any of the countries. It was all old money. You needed old money to buy in, not new money, and £120,000 was not going to get you anywhere. Ari gave me an in that it looked like I could buy in over here.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that my British accent would probably find me a girlfriend, maybe a wife one day. That's
a
hopeful.
whole other story. We
There's
could do an
a whole
entire
other story in
podcast
that
on
one.
you and Jody.
But I wanted to come for that reason, is that it let me buy in. So I joined the company working at the Roadhouse for about 5 years, left, and then started Cornman Farms.
Yep.
For my world. That was my journey. Randolph did it. And my sister was over here.
I don't know that I really realized that it was Randolph.
I love that man. He's an amazing human being.
Super.
Yep.
It makes me want to get back to England, honestly. I haven't been since before COVID.
The homeopathic stuff. So Neal's Yard Dairy do like lotions and soaps and aromatherapy kind of things. And then they also do cheese. Their aromatherapy stuff is just as good as their cheese. Like wildly different businesses. But it's all in central London. They've got a couple of stores, and like, I love me some Neal's Yard.
Well, and then Rafe?
Yeah.
Son Rafe.
Yep.
They open 49 Maltby,
Yep.
which is one of my favorite wine bars in the entire planet.
Yep.
Cat's out of the bag. Sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, do I say things? Like, do I want to actually...
I think you have a lot of world first favorite places in the world, though. I hear you say that a lot.
Well, this
You've
one...
probably got like 100 favorite wine bars.
Well, I also just am a very enthusiastic person
You are a very
in general,
enthusiastic person.
so there's that. What inspired you? So you don't travel that much anymore.
No.
Now, as a business owner, you're sort of tied in. You're a dad. You know, unfortunately, you've had a really rough personal year.
Yeah.
His wife's been quite ill, and
I
is
changed
now
when
coming
I
back out of
became
it,
when I
but-
moved to the US. I stopped traveling within reason, which was very weird. And I haven't
Isn't
even
that
traveled
weird?
around the
Like, oh, you come to the U.S. and now you're in the U.S. vortex?
in Michigan.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna land in Michigan's where you're gonna be and not move anymore. I was determined to become an owner, so I focused my first 5 years of like head down, figure out this Zingerman's thing. How do we become an owner? I originally wanted a canning and jarring bed and breakfast business.
I remember.
And then I realized I had to make hundreds of thousands of cans and jars, and that sounded
And then you're really locked in, man.
really horrific. So then I went to my wedding business, which is Cornman Farms. And so that gives you the opportunity to know what's coming, expect what's coming, and be able to give somebody perfect.
Yeah. So Kieron and I and a couple other folks from Zingerman's went to Oaxaca. Well,
Amazing.
we went to Mexico
Go,
City,
leave now,
but then we
travel
went
today.
to Oaxaca because every year the partners take a retreat to study a culinary destination, essentially. But I wanted to do a culinary program in Oaxaca.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to a select few of people in the organization who, well, there's a few caveats to this, who I wanted to travel with, who I thought would be a good time, and who were just I find still feeding their curiosity
Sure.
devil, because
You got to see my joy every day. I was high all the time
sometimes
there.
in this organization we're so head down. And this is not just true to our organization. This is true, I think, for everybody, especially right now. It's so hard to get through the noise to remember what we're really here for.
Sure.
And I have the privilege of doing that often because I'm traveling and I am interacting with these people. But
And I'm a well-traveled guy. Like,
right.
I was not expecting anything more
But
than
I
I'd
have
seen anywhere else.
never seen you in that light.
Oh my God, I was
so
like a
watching
kid
you
in a
in
candy
Oaxaca
store.
was one of the greatest privileges I've had in my professional career.
It was as exciting as South Africa, and I don't say that lightly, because South Africa is like my North Star of like culinary. It's I don't know, like when you're a kid, do you have that food memory? And it doesn't have to be a good one. Mine's dandelion and burdock and that bright green rope candy. Is my dad outside this candy store and eating
That's
it. And like
amazing.
I'm like, that is the thing you can, my whole life is lynched around that moment with my dad. This whole bit of Oaxaca was like being in South Africa again. And like, I left with a deep desire to be inspired by that food. And I mean it when I say that I'm not gonna come home and recreate something, because you can't. Some of the herbs, some of the spices, even if you can import them, the only way to experience it and enjoy it is
well,
to
you
be
don't have
there.
the terroir.
And
I'm
I
sorry,
don't
but
want to
that's-
try. And
yeah.
now I ate a green chorizo sausage there that blew my, and I am a
Oh,
sausage
I was on the
guy.
bathroom floor during that moment, so I didn't get to see that one.
Green chorizo, I didn't understand what was going on. I had to negotiate with a language barrier to somebody to explain me what was in there, and it wasn't weights and measures, it was just what it was. And I came back and I fiddled with it, and it's not the same, but it like had
It's so
many
good.
nuts. It had like 5 different nuts in it, cilantro and parsley. But then like the cornbreads that they would have out there, and I don't mean like an American cornbread, but like this baked, beautiful cornbread that we had out there. The spices and the herbs and the combination of how they were used is inspiring. I don't want to try to make Oaxacan food in Ann Arbor, in Dexter, or my weddings, but I do want to take the inspiration from it to do something with it and have the respect and ownership that I can never make it. My joy of making mole, which I had made before, like I knew of moles, I had made moles before. I came back from that, and there was that lady. What's her name?
Yeah, Maria.
Oh
No,
my God.
Maria.
It had, so there's like this famous thing that Kieron makes. Like, I make sauces that have 28 ingredients.
Yeah.
In there. They're ridiculous. A bolognese that would make your eyes bleed at how much work you have to do. And this mole equally had like 28 ingredients in it. She did things that were just the way she'd done them. They had no culinary benefit, but they were the way she did them.
Like
And there
to make
was-
the black mole with the charcoal,
Oh.
I was just like, even that blew my
So
mind,
she's
because I had
taking
also
these
made
tortillas,
mole.
old tortillas and bread, and she's burning it. And they're like, okay, cool, we're getting this burnt flavor in there. And then she takes the ash, so she's burned them completely. The ash, she then washes the
it.
ash, so all the flavor is gone. And then she throws the washed ash, back in to make it black mole. I was like, oh.
It blew. I mean, it
And
made
I
my
was like,
brain melt.
okay, this makes sense. There's no emotion, there's no ego in there. I just want something made black, and so I've made charcoal basically to put in there. And I was like, huh. And there was something, that was one of those like, huh. And it took me to a place where I was like, my ego got put away, my chefiness got put away. Because, you know,
Because that shit is old.
Oh my God,
This is as
I love
old
to
as time.
But I like
And
to
cooking
flex
over
my
open
chefy, like,
fire?
oh, well, that's a silly step. Let's just do it this way. Oh, you can combine those. There's a more efficient way to do this. And it was just nice to see it. That it was the way that it was. Like, I have recipes my mother makes, and I made them the way my mother makes them, and they're not the most efficient. I know I could make them better, but it doesn't matter. And so, like, that mole, when I got to come home and play with my own mole, and like, I make a great mole now. And maybe I love it more because I have a fond memory.
Sure.
But I think my mole is 1,000 times better from having that aha fun moment with her and her dogs in her back. And I now eating mole with freshly pressed tortillas, which again, I would never have made, is what I will have when I come back from like yoga in the morning. I press fresh tortillas, mole, and some queso on it. That's it. That's all I need. Super happy. And I am a cheese on toast bacon sandwich guy. And like, I changed my life.
You are
at 40.
a living example of why I want to do this for my life. Because even someone who's got as much experience as you do can still have these moments through travel
100%.
that completely changed your point of view and your behavior and your appreciation.
My whole opinion of that genre of food.
Yeah.
To be clear, and I think that this is, I mean, especially for the folks that are listening to this podcast, I'm British. There is no real Central Southern American food that really made it to the UK back then. There was nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean like zip. There was a little bit in like Spanish cuisine, a little bit, but not a lot. And so like, it was eye-opening all by itself, but like I had a very negative connotations of what it was going to be. And it was wildly different. And so to still be able to do that at 40, and like when I started as a chef, they said you'll always be an apprentice. Like, what's your title? Are you a sous chef, chef de partie? And you want to come up that brigade system. And I remember my very first chef is just always be the apprentice, always be the commie. Don't ever try to be anything else. It's just not worth the game. And like
always
in that moment, like I remember with her while we're making that mole, I was trying to flex my chef muscle for a minute, and I was like, nope.
I saw you.
I know. I was like, I'm gonna go put that away. Doesn't matter. I'm not here for that.
Yeah.
I don't need to impress anyone. All I wanted was to absorb my time with that lady. And like, to me, it is one of those memories that will stick with me of culinary-wise in my top 100. Easy.
Okay, well, I aim to be in the top 5. So we have some work to do.
Yep.
But
your pizza's good, but it ain't top 100 yet.
Well, I've never claimed to be a top 100 pizza maker, man. That's for sure. I'm just fire. I like cooking over open fire. I'm a flame enthusiast.
Nice.
Let's say, you know.
See, the Roadhouse, when I joined Zingerman's Roadhouse, it was the first time I threw a hog on my shoulder and onto a fiery pit. It was the first restaurant I ever cooked a burger at.
Wow. Well.
Isn't that wild? Like, I got all the way in my career.
You were in America. That's what we do.
In my 30s, I never cooked a burger for a restaurant.
Sure.
In front of anyone. It was all not that kind of food.
Yeah, of course.
So like a hog on a fiery pit and a burger was very humbling as a chef. Like wildly humbling.
But honestly, like that's rooted.
Oh my God, the
traditional
skill
food.
of cooking a whole hog on a barbecue.
Shit is hard.
Yeah, I burned a lot of hogs at the Roadhouse back
bet.
in the day. There was a few pit fires caused by Kieron Hales.
Pit fires. I love it. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap up this podcast with the same question.
Can you do
every
like
time.
Diary of the CEO? Have you seen that?
No.
So Diary of the CEO, the person being interviewed writes a question for the next person.
Oh my gosh, that's
it's so
such
genius.
a good idea.
Sorry, Diary of the CEO, and steal it. I thought it was genius.
Yeah,
so the last
it's really
person
good.
leaves a question for the next, they don't know who it's for.
Well, I asked Ari and he was like, I don't know. He never answered it. But I'm going to ask you and see if it works. What place in the world tastes most like you? I mean, this is sort of an unfair question to ask a British person. And it could be the same way as I travel the world. It tastes most like you. But is there a thing?
So this is really weird. Like as a Brit, the connotations or the thoughts of what people think of a Brit is that we have a beef with Germany. We have way more of a beef with
France.
With France,
Yeah.
way
No,
more.
I know.
France, I don't have a beef with France. It's the French. I say it in a loving, passionate way to all my French
So I
friends.
pre-apologize to all the French people that will be on and or listening to
Oh my
potentially
goodness,
this
I want to be on a
podcast.
co-podcast with somebody from France. So
Well, come
German
with me
food,
in October.
German food is probably like really foundational flavors for me that I enjoy. So some of that acidity, that pickly flavors that are in things. There is a restaurant, I believe it's still there. This is also really dangerous. Like in my 40s now, restaurants I've worked for no longer exist.
Yeah.
So there's a restaurant in Munich called Tantris. Amazing. Tantris. It's got two
Sounds
giant...
like a weird sex thing.
It is. It does sound like a weird sex thing. It's got two giant lion statues outside of it. It's got one of the sexiest kitchens you've ever worked in.
So it is a weird sex thing.
Sure. It's bright. It's got oranges and blues in the kitchen.
Okay.
The blues are to keep you calm. The reason Cornman Farms' kitchen is Robin Hill blue color is to keep you calm in the kitchen. So their kitchen was painted to keep you calm. But the funny thing is, like, I mean, maybe not on camera you can see me. I'm quite a long way away from a wall away from me. The space I have between me and the stove, so the fridge or the counter and the stove, is usually like this. It's super tight. You don't want to waste any space in a restaurant or kitchen. That kitchen had so much space. Free. It was meant to make you feel comfortable. It was like the Google of kitchens.
Yeah.
Everything was comfy and nice to be in.
Especially back then was like probably really experimental on some level, right?
100%. This food, and you said like what food? The simplicity of a very great potato salad that's been dressed with a little
German
bit of
potato
salad.
salad.
It looks ugly as sin. There is nothing attractive about British food in general or German food in general, but it tastes so good. Like this very beautifully cooked potato, and it's usually in like, you've brined it almost, cooking it so slowly in salted, herbed, garlic, onion, water. So the potatoes infused all these wonderful herbs, and then it gets washed with a splash of vinegar, and who doesn't want vinegar on their potatoes? A little bit of like olive oil put over it, and then there's raw onions or barely pickled onions onto it. You've got things like consommes that are in there. You've got slow cooked pieces of meat that are cooked beautifully. And like, I love a sous vide. Everyone knows I love a sous vide, but a roasted piece of meat that's crispy on the outside. I don't care how overcooked the edge of it is versus the center. Those flavors bring me out. But like, going back to like a Sunday roast, but a slightly elevated German version of a Sunday roast.
Okay.
And then I do like, and I got introduced to it late in my life by my business partner Tabitha, but I do like a Rodler, like a bicycle beer, so like a shandy. Oh, that with a roast dinner. Heaven.
Sounds like we know the next dinner we're gonna do together.
Yeah, and like I will tell you, like the things that make those dinners special, because the food's relatively simple, is a very fancy gravy or sauce.
Fancy gravy.
Like a
what
really
makes a gravy fancy?
Well, like a very elaborate red wine sauce that's been monteed. It's got heavy cream reduced into it. It's got monteed butter over the top of it. Maybe some things that people wouldn't politically want in there. So like foie gras butter that's finished and finishes off. The silky sexiness
Only Americans
of a sauce.
don't want foie gras.
Okay,
everybody else does.
Okay, but like that monteing those flavors into this intense sauce changes a meal immensely. And so like my mother would cook relatively simple dishes, but her sauces or her gravies were always exceptional.
Amazing.
So those things.
Amazing.
What's yours? So I flipped down and reversed that. She's not going to answer it now.
That tastes most like me?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's probably like the thing that I identify. It's probably somewhere in Eastern Europe. It could be Hungarian food.
Okay.
It could be something from, not because like it's like reflective of my personality, but I think it is the most impactful and sort of like the reproduced food that I would make at home.
Cool.
I like pickled things.
See?
I love cabbage.
Common.
I want to celebrate cabbage. Like,
Oh, we talked about that many a dinner.
yes.
I wish, hey.
I feel like cabbage is the most underrated vegetable on the planet Earth because every culture celebrates it.
A roasted, sauteed piece of cabbage with olive oil and salt and pepper, there is nothing as good as that. It is, I wish that it didn't, I wish it had a sexier name or had a cool name as a side dish to make brides and grooms and couples buy it at the
Wanna
farm
be
for
jazzed
weddings.
about cabbage?
It's so delicious. So delicious.
There's this place in New York City that I go to quite often called Birds of a Feather, which is a Szechuan restaurant.
Okay.
And they do basically just a simple Szechuan cabbage, which I have since taught myself a little bit, like kind of how to cook it. I can never quite really fully do it. But it's like, vinegar, sugar, a little bit of like water, a little bit of oil, and Szechuan peppers, and that's literally it. And
Yep.
it is like the most amazing thing. Oh my God. I just want cabbage for the rest of my life, always. Sauerkraut, like pickled, not pickled, I don't really care. I just want it.
See,
I think cabbage is
I'm a late convert
amazing.
to sour cream.
Oh,
And I'm now a sour cream junkie.
yeah,
and
well,
I have some
we
in my
should
fridge all the
probably
time.
go to Hungary.
We can do that. Cool beaners.
Cool beans. Well, thank you, Kieron.
Thank you, young lady.
What a great chat. And let's have it. Like, come on, let's travel more.
Yes.
Let's go places.
I just want to do the New Zealand food tour because
I know, we got to do New
desperately-
Zealand. Although I had a guest tell me the other day that New Zealand was like lame compared to Australia. And I was like, okay, cool. But like, I don't know. I don't think that that's 100% true.
Well, I think that's
I
the
don't
bit
think
where
any
if you
place is
travel
more
alone,
lame than
well,
another
that's
place.
the thing that. Okay, I know you're ending the podcast, and you might cut this out. I think that's what's different about what you do with food tours. So this is now a sales pitch for you, not asked for. But it is about generating an experience that you're going to have a good first experience in those countries. Because you can go to France, you can go to Paris, and yes, you could travel alone and eat in some nice restaurants. But to cultivate a holistic 7 or 8 days, to have a wonderful time and to touch lots of bases to make you want to go back. I think we've gone back to Oaxaca twice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to go there multiple times for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my son there, who's 12, just the two of us, soon. Because of how you cultivated those first few days there. Mm-hmm. I could have gone to Oaxaca and had eaten at a couple of restaurants and go, that was nice. Mm-hmm. It was fine. You managed to touch like a little bit of production, the wine, to connect with a human being. Like, I know if I go back to Oaxaca, that lady that made the red clay.
Oh, no,
the red clay lady.
Well, you two just...
I know.
You had
older
a little
ladies
love
do
affair.
love Kieron Hales.
One of my favorite photos to come out of that trip.
But
was
like
you and
that's
her.
the thing that you do is that personal connection is that's who I'm going to take my son to meet.
And the best part is like you couldn't speak the same language.
Not even
it
a little
didn't
bit. Not
matter.
one iota. Not a bit.
Kieron just yelled British accent to him the whole time, or to her, and she just listened, and sort of somehow you guys communicated.
So I shipped her sorry, now we're really, it's never going to end this podcast, but I shipped her a piece of pottery my son made in school
You
to her.
did?
And I've got another piece for the next time I go back. Because she gave me something she made and I was like,
Yeah.
well, I don't make pottery, but my son does. And it's pretty bad. But like, I think there's something fun
Turns
about
out
like
it's
seeing a
not great.
kid's glazed school project thing.
yeah.
They're always terrible. Like, it's not an ashtray anymore, but it looks like an ashtray and
Yeah.
it's multicolored. Like, I don't need to keep that. And like, it will bring this lady joy. And I think that's fun.
Yeah,
So,
I love it.
Cheers for all of that. Beautiful
Cheers.
thing.
I wish this was a beer, but we'll do that soon enough.
I need
Thank
to
you,
get a beer.
Kieron
Thank you,
Hales.
Madeline.
You are one of my greatest local heroes, even
Boom.
though, well, now you're local.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
Till
Madeline.
next time, baby. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Taste Like Somewhere, brought to you by Zingerman's Food Tours. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share with your fellow flavor seekers. Want to taste the world with us in real life? Come along. Learn about our upcoming culinary adventures at zingermansfoodtours.com. I'd love to travel with you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep tasting, and remember, the best stories are the ones you can savor.